What up, Raffalitos? Wanted to make a roundup video summarizing what I thought of Mashramani 2019.
Oh, this is my day. I'm ready to take it on, come what may.
And so this is a summary of what I think went on and why I think it went on. First of all, I think that this was the most well-attended Mashramani in decades. At least 100,000 people showed up. I would say between 100,000 and 150,000 people showed up for Mashramani 2019. And the reason why I think that is, first of all, because I was out there from noon, from like 12 o'clock in the midday to about 7 or 8 o'clock in the night. And I saw the entire parade route from Jubilee Park all the way out to the seawall. And so I saw it in the early part of the parade before the float showed up, and I saw it throughout the parade, and then I saw it after the parade. So if you look at this video that I'm showing you right now, you'll see that most of the people were out there after dark. They were there for the parties that were along the route. So there were a number of stages that were set up on the parade route off to the side of the street, and people were playing music, and each stage had its own following. So there's a large group of people crowding the streets around those stages, and that accounted, I would say, for about half of the total population that showed up for MASH 2019. And if you go all the way out to the seawall, you'll find, and I took some pictures there, that even along the seawall road there were people out there who probably didn't come specifically for MASH but came out to celebrate because it was a Saturday afternoon and this is a hangout spot. And so I would say out there was at least about 50,000 people after MASH in the evening. The next question is why? Why did these people show up? I think part of the reason is because of the newfound status of Guyana as an oil producing country. I think Guyana is becoming much more of taking much more of the center stage because of our newfound oil wealth. And a lot of Guyanese are coming back to Guyana for MASH and for other seasons, other parts of the year, particularly during winter, because it's always nice to leave North America when it's cold and come down to Guyana, or to come down to South America, the Caribbean, when it's warm, where it's always warm. And so part of the reason why there is a lot of people attending MASH this year is because of the newfound popularity of Guyana, newfound wealth of Guyana, and therefore a lot of Guyanese, overseas Guyanese, coming back. I would say that at least 50,000 of people out there for Mashramani 2019 were there because they came back specifically for Mashramani, or they were in the country during the time of Mashramani. And if you look around, you look at the streets, you look at the crowds, you will see that a lot of those people are people who were visiting, who don't necessarily live here throughout the year. Third question is, what about the diversity? So people always complain that Mashramani has always been Afro-Guyanese event, and that most of the Indo-Guyanese don't show up. And if you look at last year's float parade, and you can go back and check out some of the videos from last year, 2018, you'll see what I'm talking about. A lot of people have left in the comments there saying that, you know what, Mashramani is only attended by Afro-Guyanese, and where are the Indo-Guyanese? Well, you can't say that this year for Mashramani 2019, because if you look closely at the parade, particularly at the PPP floats, PPPC floats, and some of the later contingents, that is, in this particular group, in this video, later in the evening, you find a lot of the people who showed up were Indian and Indo-Guyanese. You find a lot of the music playing along Placentia Road was traditional Indian music. As you go down to the end of this video, you'll see what I'm talking about. And a lot of these people were, in fact, our Indo-Guyanese citizens. And so this year, you cannot really say that Mashramani is only an Afro-Guyanese celebration, because you see people from Indo-Guyanese background, from Afro-Guyanese background, from Amerindian background. You see them all throughout the floats, and they were very much a part of the parade this year, and lent a different kind of atmosphere. I think there was a lot of atmosphere of inclusion. I mean, when I first encountered the PPP float parade, and I saw a lot of their followers in the band behind them, I was first of all shocked. And then I looked around and saw that everybody was letting them be. Nobody was taunting them or criticizing them or teasing them. They were just being themselves. I mean, I noticed that a lot of people were nervous. I saw that the presidential candidate, Mr. Ali, was there, surrounded by his bodyguards and looking around nervously. But I did not get the sense that people were afraid. They were just out there, and everybody just made way for them and let them pass through. And so I think that the great thing about Mashramani 2019 is that it sort of saw more inclusion than we've seen in the past. Why the spectacular numbers? Well, most of the people out there were the spectators. So if you looked at the majority of the people were not necessarily in the bands themselves, they were not necessarily the part of the float parade, they were on the sidelines. They were out there to party and have a good time. And so I would say 2/3 of the people out there were not part of the floats, but they were there to participate in the celebration, and you could see them. I'm going to show you next. If you look at the previous video, even at the people in the stands at Jubilee Park, you'll find that a lot of those people who filled up those stands were there just to be out there and enjoy the show and party and have a good time, and they outnumbered the people in the floats. And so when I counted up, by my estimate, all the people out there in the floats and all the people out there in the stands at Jubilee Park and all the people at Square of the Revolution and all the people on Vlissingen Road, all along Vlissingen Road, and all the people along Irving Street, and all the way out to the seawall and along the seawall. When I looked at that total population, and you can look at it on some of these videos, if you go back and look at those videos and try to estimate how many people are out there, I think that the number of people was somewhere between 100,000 people and 150,000 people. I would say about 125,000 people showed up. Now the population of Georgetown is only 100,000. So that tells you that the population, that people that showed up for Mashramani 2019 was greater than the population of Georgetown, Guyana. Or in fact, the fifth thing that was different about MASH 2019 is that politicians were everywhere. The politicians were in full attendance, and they obviously took advantage of the fact that the Guyana is going through this period of election season, and so politicians were everywhere you looked. So they were the floats from the ministries, and there were the floats from the political parties themselves. But everywhere you looked, you saw a minister of the government or a political party representative, and they were there on the stages. They were there on the streets, in the bands, and so on. So part of the reason why MASH 2019 was such a big hit is because of the politics coincided with the political season, with the elections coming up as a result of the no confidence motion, and you can't really discount that fact. That's a big part of what is happening in Guyana, and a lot of the people who showed up were there to show some presence, some political presence in the nation's premier celebration, right? This is the largest, the biggest celebration for Guyana. But my main criticism was, of course, that the floats tended to be a bit dated. I don't think that the quality of the float parade is as good as you could find it, say, in Trinidad or Barbados or in Carnival in Brazil, or even some of the carnivals in North America and Europe, in say Notting Hill in the UK. And part of the reason is because there's not a whole lot of funding, there's not a whole lot of money that goes into MASH, and not a lot of people are buying these costumes to go out there and join the band. And I think in future that is what is going to have to improve. There's going to have to be a lot more money spent on the presentation of the show. And the question is, what is the future of MASH? First of all, what is the impact of the Mashramani celebration on the economy? I'm trying to get those numbers. I'm going to figure out what the cost of preparing or presenting Mashramani 2019 was, and what the return on investment is for Guyana. Because of course, you remember this is an economics channel. We do economic analysis, and I'm willing to say that the impact of Mashramani 2019 on the economy was greater than anything else in the country for the last, I would say, 2 or 3 years. And that's just because people came back and people celebrated and people spent. So it served as a boost for the economy. But the question is, how much of the money spent was spent by the government of Guyana for all the floats from the ministries? I'd like to know how much money was spent, and I don't have those numbers yet, but I'll figure them out, and I'm going to get back to you with what I think are a cost-benefit analysis of Mashramani. The police band, of course, was the biggest and the best band out there, most disciplined and well represented. And so if you go back and take a look at these videos, I think Mashramani 2019 was one of the best celebrations of Mashramani in Guyana for the past, I would say, 20 or 30 years. This show crowds of the order of magnitude that I remember Mash used to be when I was a kid, and the celebration was in the national park and so on. So tell me what you think about Mashramani 2019. This is a summary video. I'm going to release one more video showing you the crowds in Jubilee Park and the end of the parade and so on. But tell me what you think about Mashramani 2019, and will you come back to Guyana for Mashramani in future? And later.
gonna play back that song from starting. Mike, you ready? I don't know, sir. A full clip up there. After this, we're going better over. I know, sir, the Caribbean East Coast Shot the Fest. Everything alright. You see me as a right now? Go and drop it.